Hi, Ben. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Julia. Good evening.
Hello. No.
Hi, good evening. It's great to see you again. And welcome, Ben. Good evening.
Yes, nice to see you too. Good evening.
Thank you. So we are waiting for Gunjan and Rakesh. They'll be joining us soon, and then we can start at 7 sharp.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Great.
That sounds great.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Ma'am, voice is not audible. आप जो पिक दिखा रहे हो ना तो
Is it Monica?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Monica, wait for 2 minutes. Everything would be sorted out. I request all these students to please mute themselves.
क्या बोल रही है? मेरे को कुछ समझ में नहीं आता। बता ना, क्या बात है? तो ऐसे ना रणबीर को देखता बस कर अब मैं रणबीर को देख के नहीं सकती क्या रणबीर
Hi, Gunjan. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
So, shall we start with the session?
Yes, do we have all colleagues from SAP? I can't see or figure out.
Okay, we are waiting for Rakesh. I
Yep,
can't see.
Rakesh is here. He
Ah.
is just on mute. You're muted, Rakesh.
That's
Yeah, I
good.
got it. I got it. Yep. Newton Square, we are here. Julia, I think she's on the call as well, right?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. We all here.
That's great. So we can start with the session. So good evening to everyone. My name is Sandeep Kaur and I'm the Senior Program Manager for TechSaksham program. On behalf of EdNet, I welcome our guest speakers. We have with us Julia Mueller, Rakesh Gandhi, Ben Hughes, and Gunjan C. Patel from SAP. And I also welcome all the students, teachers, and EdNet team in today's expert session on navigating career paths through Industry 4.0. So before we move on to our program, I would take this as an opportunity to introduce our speakers for today's session. We've met Julia Mueller and we had a great session with her. I think it was a session wherein students, they opened up and they asked few questions and they were really happy about it. To brief you again about her profile, she is the Senior Product Specialist, Operational Technology, SAP. We have Mr. Rakesh Gandhi. We welcome you again from SAP, who's an innovation enthusiast and digital practitioner with 25 years of experience in manufacturing and industry. He's working with SAP since 2003, driving innovation, mobile, IoT, and most recently in DSC Industry 4.0 topic. We also have our program partner and expert, Gunjan C. Patel, who is the Regional Director and Head of CSR, SAP Indian Subcontinent. We again welcome Ben Hughes in the program and all the students and all the teachers who are here with us. Once again, I welcome you all in today's session, and I'm sure this is going to be equally exciting and informative session. So, Gunjan, over to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep, and I warmly welcome all the students and faculty members. आज का सेशन इंग्लिश में होने वाला है, so today we will speak both in English and in Hindi, and we have colleagues from Newtown Squares, US, and you already met Julia Mueller. So ये सब जूलिया की टीम से ही, सब लोग एक टीम से है colleagues. राकेश गांधी, बैन ह्यूजिस, विवेकानंद, सुजीत, मैट एंड जैक, ये सब कलीग्स इंडस्ट्री 4.0 और नाउ जो इंडस्ट्री 4.now जो SAP टर्म कर रहा है उसके बारे में डिस्कशन करेंगे. एंड बेसिकली दिस सेशन इज ऑल अबाउट हेल्पिंग स्टूडेंट्स हाउ दे कैन नेविगेट देयर करियर पाथवेज. सो स्टूडेंट्स और यूथ के लिए कैसे उनको वो लोग आप लोग करियर ये इंडस्ट्री 4.0 में बना सकते हैं. आपको क्या स्किल्स आपको अक्वायर करने चाहिए, क्या आपको ज्यादा लर्न करना चाहिए. सो दिस एंटायर सेशन इज ऑल अबाउट दैट. And without much ado, I will now hand it off to Rakesh, Julia, and team. So over to you, colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much, Gunjan.
Julia, you can get started. Yeah.
Yes. I would only need permission to share the screen because while you're sharing, I can't share. Yep, thank you. That should work now, so you should all be able to see the screen. You saw already last week when I talked about the Industry 4.0 and I talked about the industrial revolutions and where it came from and basically what SAP is doing. So today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this whole topic of Industry 4.0. And I'm going to put that link also in the chat if you want to do some reading later on. But most importantly is really that these three pillars. So with the Industry 4.0 now, so with the digitalization happening right now, we basically focus all our solutions on the customers. So really want their input, and we want to adjust our solutions to their needs. And by that, we basically reinvent our production and their production. So we have intelligent assets, what you're going to see later on, so that you can really get information in real time about a certain health status, for example, about a certain machine, and also the worker is really connected to the whole system, and he gets the support that he needs from the systems to work more efficiently, but also to have very agile and flexible production. So by that, in the end, we're able to connect the entire company. And by that, we don't mean only to connect the machines, but also to have the worker talking to the machines as well. So that makes basically the whole connection. And what you're going to see today is basically the start of this end-to-end process that we also show our colleagues and our clients. So we have all sorts of stages that are in this manufacturing showcase, and we really focus in our showcases on the manufacturing of a certain part. So that can be, for example, a valve or a pump or something else, but you'll see that later on. I won't spoil it for you. But this is really what I wanted to show you, what is most important. So you have the discrete showcase. So that is the discrete assembly, where you manufacture this double-seated valve that you can see here. So you might know that from breweries, for example. They use that, and fluid industries that are producing water, for example, or juices. And Rakesh is going to talk about that later on as well. And then we basically assume that from this discrete showcase, the valve is being delivered to our process industry showcase, where we have the batch production. So batch production is everything that is handling large volumes. So that can be coffee beans, that can be fluids, that can also be chemicals or pharmaceuticals, for example. So anything that you can't count one-on-one, like the discrete industry, where you basically talk about cars or manufacturing airplanes, something like that. But here it's all about volumes. So this just for you as an introduction, and without further ado, I will hand over to Rakesh.
Thanks, Julia. Namaste and welcome. It's our pleasure to be here. You will see us today in a casuals. जैसे कि हमने t-shirt और jeans पहना है, आज Friday है. And when we don't have a customer meeting, we are not in our suits and jackets. Otherwise, SAP is known for black suits. This is just an information. As you kind of get into the professional world, you will see how even the soft skill needs to be grown. But today we are here. आज हम यहाँ पर Industry 4.0 के बारे में बात करने वाले हैं. What you see behind me is the real life scenario. This is what we'll walk you through today. But before that, what I want to kind of take the cue and make sure that it doesn't get too complicated. ज़्यादा complicated नहीं होना चाहिए. उसके लिए I will put up one slide, which is nothing to do with SAP. It is about Industry 4.0 in a very, very simple term, right? Julia explained it very well. What I would like to now look at doing is map it first to the job opportunities also, right? Before we kind of go and watch how the Industry 4.0 comes to life. Yep. So if you look at this pyramid in a very simple way, first of all, like Julia mentioned, Industry 4.0 is about automation, right? When we talk about automation, we are talking about automation of the processes, people, and machines. Sorry, Hindi mein hum AGCD hai. I don't know if you know what AGCD is. It's a term that we use for guys like us. It's like American grown confused desis. So हमारी हिंदी थोड़ी rusty hai. So whenever you have a question you don't understand, please put it in the chat. Chat में आपका question डाल देना. So अगर ये pyramid देखोगे आप इनका, where SAP plays, जहाँ SAP का software होता है, we'll start from the top of the pyramid. ऊपर से चालू करेंगे. This is where Julia was talking about the whole enterprise processes, right? This is how the companies are run. In a simple way, आपका order आता है customer से, और उस order को आप कैसे decide करते हो कि क्या बना रहे हो? What do you want to manufacture, right? And you break it down. That उसके लिए planning चाहिए, उसके लिए raw material चाहिए time पे, उसके लिए आपको shop floor पे order डालना चाहिए, right? And then shop floor पे operators जो है, they can operate. So level 4 is where the enterprise softwares are. Generic term is ERP, enterprise resource planning, and SAP is the leader in that, right? PLM होता है आप प्रोडक्ट कैसे डिजाइन करते हो, प्रोडक्ट लाइफ साइकिल मैनेजमेंट कहते हैं उसको. एंड देन एट द शॉप फ्लोर लेवल, MES एक्रोनिम है, इसे कहते हैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एग्जीक्यूशन सिस्टम, राइट? दिस इज वेयर ऑल द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑपरेशंस, right from production. So manufacturing does not mean production alone, right? So remember that manufacturing operations are the full operations that happens inside the factory. एक होता है production, आप कैसे produce करते हो. Within production आपको maintain करनी है quality, right? So how do you maintain the quality? But उसके बाद जो assets होते हैं, equipment होते हैं, उसको maintain करना पड़ता है time to time, right? Periodically maintenance करना पड़ता है. So that is also part of this manufacturing operations and management, right? And at level 2, 1 and 0 is where your smart machines are. Yes, robots ho gaye, and you will see lots of machines here. You will hear the term like PLCs, you will hear the term like CNC machines. All of this have a programming capability inherent to that, right? Sorry, can everyone go on mute? Whoever is not talking. There's a lot of disturbance online. Thank you. Iske baad, if you wrap around this pyramid of Industry 4.0, the evolution of new technologies, jaise ho gaya AI, ML. So har ek application, is there a way to make everybody mute?
Students request you to please go on mute. आप mute कर दीजिए.
Can we please control?
Sandeep, can you please put everyone on
yes,
mute?
I'm doing that. Just give me 10 seconds.
And Rakesh, you can only speak English because they're from several states.
Sorry?
You
I can barely hear
only
anybody.
English.
Oh, I should do only English?
Yes,
Okay, I think I am unmuted. Can you hear me now? No. You're good.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, so where was I? So we were on this pyramid, and then I was kind of talking about further skills, right? Or further technology, how you're embedding across this pyramid and applications. So within this, the ML AI, that is machine learning, artificial intelligence, gets embedded inside the application at all levels, level 4, level 3, level 2, right? There are the technology which are relevant on level 1, which is sensing. This is where the IoT comes in, right? And of course, the smart assets are manufactured by a lot of vendors. So Industry 4.0 is not just about one player, right? You will have lots of machine manufacturers. And all of this, if you're an engineering student, you have an opportunity to work at different level as a starting point. Very few folks, and fortunately, our team has a very broad exposure across this pyramid here, but it comes through the years. Starting point is, yes, you can work in the smart asset manufacturers, the folks who are making robotics, folks who are making CNC machines, folks who are making any kind of machines that are used inside the factory, number one, right? And that is where they also leverage a lot of technology to do the programming and so on. I think that's key, right? Then from the SAP perspective, we have a whole bunch of software, right? Where you can use, including the technology pieces, AI, ML, likewise other vendors like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they also provide this technology. So as a software engineer, you can work there. And our ecosystem of our partners is what who provides as well the capability to kind of implement our software across the stacks. So that's another set of opportunities. So think about, TCS, think about, Wipro and so on. Those are the kind of skills that you can also go down that path. Hope this is helpful for you. I'm kind of spending a little bit of a time saying Industry 4.0 is not just about one skill. It's a myriad of skills, myriad of hardware, but smart hardware, right? Not the dummy hardware. Smart hardware meaning it's hardware that can communicate, right? Has a cyber capability to it, and then has some level of programming into it. So if you look at what Siemens makes in their automation, what GE makes in their automation division, the PLCs, that is programmable logical controllers, the SCADAs. So there are lots of opportunities as an engineer. And this is where I can give you my example as well. I did my engineering out of VREC, Nagpur, as an electrical engineer. And my first job was with the automation company at Siemens. And then I moved across the stack layer, moving into the software world, and then went through a lot of different, progressions. And that is how the knowledge grows as well, right? So just to give you the landscape of kind of opportunities that this particular topic provides. Now, I spent enough time on this. If there are any questions, do put it on the chat. What we'll now do is give you how Industry 4.0 is used within the factory. So first we'll start with this factory behind me. If you want to switch over to the camera. So what you see behind me is a typical process industry factory. Now, what is a process industry factory, right? Process industry is a generic term where it involves, continuous manufacturing of, products like your soft drinks, products like your chemicals, or life science product, meaning pharma products like vaccines, right? So these industries fall under process industry. They have something very unique in their processes. Typically, generationally, they are, from the shop floor perspective, machine to machine integration perspective, have been fully automated. With Industry 4.0, we are now talking about, and by the way, that shop floor machine to machine integration technology is called operational technology. So you'll, in an acronym here, OT, O as in orange, T as a Tom, OT, right? Operational technology. And the enterprise world is called IT, information technology, right? Now we are kind of merging the two together. Why? Because we want to look at all this data that comes from manufacturing operations, from machines, and integrate that with your enterprise data so that you can get the full visibility of what is going on in the plant, right? And data is the power in this day and world, and that is why we are doing that. So you see, these are the kind of machines that process industries would have, and the processes are very unique. So I'll invite now Ben to walk us through a soft drink manufacturer as an example. By the way, this can also be used by life science companies or chemical companies as well. But Ben, walk us through some typical processes here and highlight some of the unique things that we do from the OT to IT integration.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, Rakesh, for the introduction. So I will take us all through just a couple of the operations we have here in our soft drink manufacturing plant. The first of which is called weigh and dispense. And we are weighing out some ingredients here, some important ingredients, and producing this small batch of liquid called a premix, where we're getting these important ingredients, weighing them out per a recipe that we have. And then I'll take that over to the mixer, which is that large piece of equipment that Rakesh was showing earlier. And there we will produce a large batch of the soft drink, again, using a recipe and integrating with the equipment and sensors there to run that, to open and close valves, to read back important parameters and produce that drink. Okay?
So the request is back to English, right, Gunjan? I'm confused. Should we continue in English or should we kind of transpose a little bit of Hindi as well?
I think yes, Rakesh, if that you can do, because I'm getting messages from students directly on me. So please.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. So Ben ने अभी जो बताया, typically soft drink industry में पहले एक रेसिपी बनाते हैं आप, right? जैसे कि कोका कोला हो गया, थम्स अप हो गया, उनकी मास्टर रेसिपी होती है, सो कॉल्ड सीक्रेट रेसिपी. उनमें 2-4 इंग्रेडिएंट्स होते हैं जो मिक्स करते हैं. उसको मिक्स करने के लिए इट हैज टू बी एक्यूरेट, राइट, फॉर द कंसिस्टेंट क्वालिटी, कंसिस्टेंट टेस्ट. इमेजिन करो एक बैच जब बनाया उसमें शुगर थोड़ी ज्यादा डाल दी, दूसरे में कम डाल दी, ऐसा नहीं चलता है ना. इसलिए हर एक चीज एकदम एक्यूरेट होना चाहिए, उसको कैप्चर करना चाहिए वो डेटा को, कितना डाला है कौन से बैच में. ठीक है. और यहाँ पर एक ऑटोमेशन टेक्निक है जहाँ वे स्केल है, वो रेसिपी को जब मिक्स करते हैं वेइंग स्केल से ऑटोमेटिकली कैप्चर करते हैं, एकदम एक्यूरेटली मिक्स करते हैं और सिस्टम में कैप्चर करते हैं कि ये बैच में ये वाली रेसिपी गई, इतने ग्राम गए. और बेन आपको वो बताएंगे अभी. Go ahead.
So we'll bring up the screen and then you can follow along with what I'm doing here. And what you'll see on the screen is the different recipes for the soft drinks that I can produce. And in this case, I'm going to choose a classic recipe. And the recipe tells me how much of each one of these ingredients I need to add to this container in order to produce that drink. So I'll select this, and this is my interface as an operator that allows me to connect to this scale and record the data back into the system and build that batch record that I think Rakesh was talking about. I've already weighed out the first 2 ingredients. So you can see here, citric acid, I've weighed that out, and natural flavor, I've weighed that out. So now I will do the third ingredient here, which is vitamin mixture. When I select that ingredient, the system prompts me to say, which batch of vitamin mixture are you using here?
So ये जो batch होता है, वो बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है जब प्रोसेस इंडस्ट्री में हम जब मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं। ये एक ट्रैकिंग मैकेनिज्म है। अगर आपकी एक्सपायरी डेट होती है किसी इंग्रेडिएंट के साथ, अगर आप फूड मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हो, राइट, तो एक एक्सपायरी डेट भी साथ में आती है ना। ए बैच ये सब कुछ कैप्चर कर लेता है, राइट, at the time of manufacturing itself. That way there is no quality traceability issue. अगर बैक ट्रैक करना है कि भैया ये बैच कब बनाया, किसने बनाया, कौन से इंग्रेडिएंट गए, सो ये सब ट्रैकिंग के लिए बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। एंड कंपनीज who really value quality, right, they do this all the time. And quality is the most important thing, right? If you want to be a global player, अगर आपको global player बनना है as an industry, companies are focusing on quality big time. And here, this is where you're seeing how we are kind of putting that steps where you can start monitoring the quality by and having the traceability to that as well.
Okay, so this ingredient here, this blue liquid, is the correct ingredient. But I just want to show you an example of how we're using this system and using technology to help prevent me from making mistakes. So I'll grab, this is the wrong ingredient, and I'll try and scan this and see if I can move forward. But the system automatically recognizes that this batch number is not the correct ingredient because there's a recipe and there is a range of batch numbers associated with this ingredient. So the system tells me I have the wrong ingredient, and now it lets me know so that I don't make any mistakes and I don't produce a product with poor quality. So I'll select that and I'll scan the correct ingredient here. And now the system will allow me to move forward. What we can see here is the interface that I have with this scale. We're connected to it and bringing back the data in real time into the system to see how much of material I'm measuring. So I will set the scale to 0, which will allow me to add in the required 40 grams of material. And I'll start adding that in, and we'll see the screen will begin to update with that as I'm pouring that material into the container. I don't know if Rakesh, if you want to elaborate on any of that.
No, I think it's self understanding. What you see is what he's doing. He's ये liquid fill कर रहा है रेसिपी का, और जो स्केल है यहाँ पर ये स्टील दिख रहा है, ये स्मार्ट स्केल है, IoT enabled स्केल है, वो डायरेक्टली डेटा एप्लीकेशन में फिट कर रहा है, और ये एप्लीकेशन को कहते हैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एग्जीक्यूशन सिस्टम। ठीक है?
Okay, and when I select this button consume, it will record the exact amount that I dispensed into the container and capture that in our system and start building the record of this product as it's traveling through the process. So I will complete this order for the premix because all my ingredients have been added. Everything is completed. And then
stay there.
Yep.
Stay there. Before you go to the next step, आपको ये सारे logos ऊपर दिख रहे हैं, right? Kronos, Evogard, Triakos, Andreessen-Hauser, Sartorius, Proglo, Beckhoff. Earlier मैंने आपको बताया कि there are smart assets inside the factory, what you see here, and these are the manufacturers of those assets, right? So as an engineer, so they also hire a lot of engineers. So this was the proof point of how our software works with the hardware, the smart assets as we call it, right? And this was just an example of the range of companies and the potential that this topic has from the job opportunity perspective. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. The next step in the process is to take this premix and put it into the mixer and run the mixer to produce that large batch of the soft drink. I have instructions here again that help me as an operator go through the steps to produce that. So I'll walk through these quickly in the interest of time. The first is to take the premix that I just made and add that into the mixer. So I will scan the label that printed here that has the batch number of our premix on it, and that will record that I'm using this premix batch in the large batch that I'm producing.
Yeah. So let me just put it in Hindi. So अभी जो Ben ने जो बनाया, imagine करो आप कोका-कोला या थम्स अप बना रहे हो, उसका मेन रेसिपी बनाया, the concentrate, right? अब आपको ये concentrate पानी में मिला के you need to kind of create a huge quantity, बड़ा quantity generate करना है, right? Because the concentrate itself is not going to taste good. आपको सोडा फिल करना है, आपको पानी में डालना है, and then उसको बॉटल करना है, right? ये प्रोसेस है. So अभी next step में ये रेसिपी लेके he'll take this recipe, put it in the mixer. This is where he'll add more quantity of water to it and it will carbonate it. उसको सोडा डालेंगे और लास्ट स्टेप में हम बॉटल करेंगे. ठीक है?
Okay, so I will pour this into our mixer right over here and get that important ingredient into the mixer. And then before I start the mixer, the one thing we want to make sure is that we are going to produce a high quality product. So the system connects to the various sensors that are on the mixer that read important parameters to what I'm going to produce, things like temperature, density, and conductivity, and tells me whether or not they're within range. And we can see here as the camera is focusing in on this control system here, this is where that data is coming from. It's coming from the machine and being read into our manufacturing execution system to display that data on the screen and help me as an operator make a decision. And just, to add to that, Rakesh mentioned he kind of started working in this area. I did too. My career before coming to SAP, I worked on programming control systems just like this. So that is another opportunity in this field where folks can start their career.
Little bit in Hindi for my side. So जो बैन बता रहे हैं यहाँ पर, जिसे हम मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं, हमको हर पैरामीटर मॉनिटर करना पड़ता है. कौन से टेम्परेचर पे बना है, कौन से डेंसिटी में बना है. And this is where the second step of quality comes in, right? और इसमें ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन नहीं करना पड़ता है. यहाँ पर ये जो मशीन है पीछे, उसमें सारे सेंसर्स लगे हुए हैं चारों तरफ, राइट? वो सेंसर्स का डेटा MES में कैप्चर करेंगे. उसमें मशीन लर्निंग लॉजिक अगर ऐड करना है तो मशीन लर्निंग लॉजिक ऐड करेंगे और ऑपरेटर को एरर बताएंगे अगर एरर है, जो प्रोसेस स्टॉप कर सकता है. अगर सब पैरामीटर ठीक है तो नेक्स्ट स्टेप में चल लेंगे. ठीक है? So Ben will okay this and move forward.
Okay, so I've started the next phase. So in just a moment here, we will move to our front camera and the mixer will start mixing. And what we see here is there are 3 tanks with ingredients that need to be added to this large tank on the side. And there are 3 valves controlling the flow of the ingredient from this tank down through the series of pipes and into the main mixing tank. Currently, the valve here that is connected to our red material is open, as indicated by this green light on top, and that allowed that red material to flow into the tank. We just opened the green valve to let that flow through, and then finally the blue valve is opening to let that material flow through. And all of these parameters were sent to the controller in the mixer from our SAP manufacturing execution system. from that recipe that I selected initially. So we are showing some of the integration here that happens between the software and the hardware out on the floor. Okay. I don't know if Rakesh, if you wanted to add anything there.
No, I think you described it well, and I had mentioned
Okay.
this. And the last step is if you can roll the camera towards the bottling. So last step, प्रोड्यूस होने के बाद इसको टैंक में डालेंगे और बॉटल कर देंगे, ठीक है? So Ben, you wanna show that very quickly, and then we move on to discrete.
Sure. So right here is our bottling station where we take our soft drink and move it from the storage tanks we have here and fill using this nozzle down to the bottles below. And then we can ship them out to our customers so they can enjoy the drink themselves. Okay. So from here, I'll hand it back over to Rakesh and my colleague Vivek, who are on our discrete side, and we'll show you a little bit of some robotic automation and some of that machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Thanks, Ben. So what you saw was a process industry so far, and we'll now move on to a discrete industry. Again, discrete is a sector. Discrete एक category है. It's a category. So imagine the companies like your automobile companies where you're doing the fully automated production of your car, or could be any other component manufacturing as an जहाँ assembly होती है physical product की, ठीक है? आपके पास recipe नहीं but bill of material होता है. So उसमें typically ऐसे वाले automation is what you will see. Hold on, when the camera comes in. What you see on the stations is where we're going to go. I'm just going to give you a quick glance of different stations here. This is where we will show you the component manufacturing of a particular product. We will start. हम ये जो product है, जो valve है, जो Ben use कर रहे थे process industry में, right? ये valve discrete industry बनाती है. If you can focus here on the valve, please. Right? और ये valve में काफी सारे components है. ऊपर एक component head है जिसमें electronics है और ये full body है. So हम इसके ऊपर का component manufacture करेंगे यहाँ पर ये station पे. उस station पे quality checks करेंगे. जब विवेक अभी कैमरा मूव कर रहा है और इसमें काफी सारे robotics है और complicated machines भी है, जैसे कि ये जो machine है और इसमें जो tiles घूम रही है, it's a magnetically leviated tiles. So if you look at it, there are, I mean, you can't see it, but there's an air gap between the two surfaces. So companies do manufacture this kind of a complicated machines, जिससे material flow होता है factory में. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So ये छोटा सा मॉडल है और फैक्ट्री में लंबी लाइंस होती हैं जहाँ ऐसी टाइल्स on this magnetic leviated tables can take material from one point to another point in a zigzag way, or depending on क्या हो रहा है, जैसे कोई क्वालिटी हो गया, स्क्रैप हो गया, उसको एक स्क्रैप की जगह पे डालना है, दूसरे को others you want to put it in the some final assembly area. So depending on the logic, the tiles will move, right? So how do you control your process from the MES layer to the machine layer? I think वो भी हम आपको बताएंगे. So Vivek, why don't we start with the component manufacturing? So Vivek will first start with the component manufacturing here and walk us through. And by the way, Vivek can speak Odia. So if you want to have a little bit of a translation in Odia, Vivek can do that as well.
Yes. So hello everyone. Good Friday. Namaste and namaskar. So आज हम लोग क्या देखने वाले हैं कि like Rakesh said, this ये हमारा smart factory है and we are doing all this automation. So I'll do all this demonstration. हम लोग 3 segment में देखेंगे. Like Rakesh said initially, we have all these intelligent technologies जो कि 4th industrial revolution को enable कर रही है. Second, how we do all this automation that makes ये हमारा स्मार्ट फैक्ट्री बनता है उससे. देन तीसरा चीज देखेंगे, हम जो भी प्रोसेसेस कर रहे हैं सब जगह पे डाटा कलेक्ट हो रहा है, एंड दिस डाटा इज गोइंग टू मेक द प्रोसेस बेटर. हर चीज को बेटर करने के लिए हमें डाटा को देखना पड़ेगा, वो सारे पैटर्न्स नोटिस करने पड़ेंगे, एंड दैट बिकम्स ए फीडबैक वेयर वी इम्प्रोवाइज द प्रोसेस. So I'll just kickstart our cool things here, and you can see everything in action.
So Vivek is saying something in Hindi, but he's also repeating in English. So in case somebody doesn't understand Hindi, don't worry, you haven't missed out anything. He's repeating the statement in English as well. Go ahead, Vivek.
So मान लीजिए कि मतलब जैसे राकेश बोले कि हम लोग एक फिजिकल ऑब्जेक्ट बना रहे, लाइक हियर वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग दिस वाल्व, एंड उसके ऊपर एक छोटा सा कंट्रोल हेड किट रहता है, सम काइंड ऑफ सर्किटरी वी असेंबल, एंड उसका पिक्चर लेंगे, क्वालिटी चेक करेंगे, एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. सो मान लीजिए कि हम लोग एक टेस्ला कार बना रहे, एंड उसमें एक चिप जाएगा जो कि उसमें सारे के सारे ऑटोमेशन डिराइव करेगा. सो here in my factory I'm going to produce that chip and do all the quality inspection. Okay, now if I come to my screen, the MES screen, this is, think about मैं एक operator हूँ एक factory में, and my job is come here daily. This is my work center, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे इक्विपमेंट देख सकते हैं कि एक रोबोट है जो कि ऑल दिस मूवमेंट करेगा, एक कैमरा है जो कि पिक्चर्स लेगा, एंड वहां से देखेगा कि सारे के सारे जो भी असेंबली हुए हैं सही से हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है. सो आई जस्ट किक स्टार्ट, यू विल सी थिंग्स, एंड वहां से आपको मतलब रियलाइज हो जाएगा कि क्या कैसे काम करता है. नाउ ऑन द स्क्रीन यू कैन सी दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल ऑपरेटर डैशबोर्ड, मतलब ऑपरेटर जहां पे काम करता है, एंड आई हैव लाइक वर्क लिस्ट जो कि एक यूनिट ऑफ वर्क आता है एंड जिसके ऊपर मुझे काम करना है. लेफ्ट हैंड साइड पे देख सकते हैं कि सारे के सारे एक्शन बटन है जहां से मैं प्रोसेस स्टार्ट करूंगा एंड कंप्लीट करूंगा. नाउ ऑन द राइट, आगे पहले के जमाने में फैक्ट्री में क्या होता था कि एवरीवेयर आई हैव टू डू समथिंग, एक पेपर रहता होगा एंड वहां से मुझे फॉलो करना है, स्टेप 1 डू दिस, स्टेप 2 डू दैट. सो इट वाज मोर ऑफ ए पेपर बेस्ड, एंड नाउ मूविंग टू द फ्यूचर हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं कि सारे के सारे पेपर इंस्ट्रक्शन को डिजिटल इंस्ट्रक्शन में कन्वर्ट करके सारे के सारे यहाँ पे दिखा रहे हैं. सो देयर इज नो पेपर एट दिस प्लेस. दैट इज one fundamental change that we are going forward. Okay, now as an operator I can go ahead and see this instruction. This can be मतलब एक छोटा सा PDF डॉक्यूमेंट रह सकता है, और it can be a link to somewhere, or it can be a 3D visual instructions. आजकल क्या हो रहा है कि you can, all of you have heard this Google smart glasses. Okay, I can wear that, and वहां से एक एक क्लिक करूंगा एंड वहां से मुझे पता चलेगा कि नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या करना है. नाउ हियर यू कैन सी दिस इज ए 3D इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्या होने वाला है. नाउ लेट मी स्टार्ट. यहाँ पे 2 ऑपरेशंस होगा, एक असेंबल करेंगे, उसके ऊपर एक पिक्चर लेंगे जो कि वेरीफाई करेगा. लेट्स स्टार्ट. इफ यू कैन ब्रिंग द कैमरा बैक. सो हमारे पास 2 तरह का मटेरियल से, एक ब्लू एंड एक व्हाइट. बेस्ड ऑन द, मतलब हम लोग को जो प्रोडक्शन करना है उसके हिसाब से वो कमांड जाता है रोबोट के पास. एंड राकेश जैसे बोले पहले कि ये हमारा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एग्जीक्यूशन सिस्टम है, वहां से नीचे वो PLCs जो प्रोग्राम कंट्रोल करता है, वी आर सेंडिंग एक मतलब इंस्ट्रक्शंस दे रहे हैं कि वहां से उठा के यहाँ पे रखो. एंड नाउ यू कैन सी कि ये यहाँ पे रखने के बाद एक पिक्चर लिया वो सर्किट बोर्ड का, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट इट्स, all of you are doing this college projects, machine learning, artificial intelligence. So हम लोग एक इमेज को लेके एनालाइज कर रहे हैं कि if all the wires are properly assembled or not, and that I can see already in the screen. So data यहाँ से उठ के इमेज लिया गया, it comes to the MES system right away. So it's all real time. That's the value that you are proposing with this IoT, automation, connectivity, all that thing. So let me go ahead and show you जो पिक्चर कैसे दिखता है अपना. here you can see there is एक जगह पे 3 green spots है और एक red spot है. The red spot is about like वहां पे एक cable missing है. यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे तो this is a blue cable on the top जो कि brown cable होना चाहिए था. So the machine itself is detecting that, it's predicting it, and operator को बता रहा है कि okay this is wrong, अब कुछ करो. Okay, now ये मूवमेंट जब ऑटोमेट हुआ हमारे अपने असेंबली एरिया से लेके रीवर्क एरिया में चला गया. सो और एक ऑपरेटर आएगा, देखेगा कि क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम है, उसके ऊपर जो भी काम करना करेगा. लेट मी मतलब आगे चलते हैं. आई हैव अनदर कंपोनेंट व्हिच हैज गॉट एवरीथिंग राइट. सो व्हाट आई वांट टू शो यू इज वहां से सारे के सारे प्रोसीजर होंगे एंड इट विल पुट द कैप फ्रॉम हियर टू दैट वन. So let me pick a new material. Now this time I'm going to choose something called white, and let's start. वही सेम प्रोसीजर होगा, वहां से स्टेजिंग एरिया बोलते हैं एंड वहां से उठा के ये असेंबली में लाएगा. ये छोटे छोटे जो कंपोनेंट होते हैं लाइक मान लीजिए स्क्रू हो गया, कैप हो गया. सो उस एरिया को मतलब वर्क सेंटर में प्रोडक्शन सप्लाई एरिया बोलते हैं. एंड वी वांटेड टू मतलब सारे के सारे जो कंपोनेंट है एग्जैक्टली वही टाइम पे वर्क स्टेशन में पहुंचने चाहिए. सो इट्स ऑल ऑप्टिमाइज्ड. आई एम श्योर मतलब आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा कि ऑपरेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, ऑपरेशन रिसर्च, सो वहां पे एवरी प्रोसीजर जस्ट इन टाइम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, सो हम लोग ऑप्टिमाइज कर सकते हैं. नाउ ये कंपोनेंट रखने के बाद इट पिक्ड द राइट मटेरियल, ब्लू और व्हाइट. वो डिटरमाइन होता है अपने लॉजिक जो भेजते हैं अपना एग्जीक्यूशन सिस्टम से. एंड नाउ इट हैज पुट एवरीथिंग हियर. सो जैसे कि मैंने आपको बोला था, this is intelligent technologies. So we have all this connecting technologies that you are using. Second part is हमने रोबोट को ऑटोमेट कर दिया. Then we took the pictures and algorithms उसके ऊपर लिखा. The third part I want to say is कैसे हम लोग डाटा भेजते हैं एंड डाटा रिसीव करते हैं. सो यहाँ पे एक टॉर्क टूल है. आई एम गोइंग टू सेंड सम इंस्ट्रक्शंस लाइक कितना टॉर्क करना है और वहां से वैल्यू वापस आएगा मेरे सिस्टम को. सो यहाँ पे 3 स्क्रू से लेट्स पुट इट टुगेदर. एंड बहुत सारे इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोटोकॉल होते हैं, जैसे कि मतलब राकेश बोल रहे थे कि आईटी ओटी इंटीग्रेशन होता है एंड बेस्ड ऑन दिस प्रोटोकॉल्स हम लोग बात करते हैं. एंड नाउ दैट ये तीनों को स्क्रू को मैं डाल दिया. नाउ कितना वो वैल्यू हुआ, कितना स्क्रू टाइट हुआ, दैट वैल्यू आल्सो कम्स बैक इनटू द सिस्टम. सो इफ आई गो बैक एंड लेट्स गो टू समथिंग कॉल्ड द डाटा कलेक्शन. यहाँ पे टॉर्क वैल्यू देख सकते हैं एंड वहां पे वैल्यूज आ गया. पहला वैल्यू 0.7, सेकंड वैल्यू 0.71 एंड थर्ड वैल्यू 0.7. सो इट्स ए बाई डायरेक्शनल कम्युनिकेशन. हम लोग डाटा भेजते हैं एंड डाटा रिसीव करते हैं एंड आफ्टर ऑल दिस डाटा इज कलेक्टेड वी एनालाइज कि मतलब इस प्रोसेस को कैसे बेहतर कर सकते हैं. ये एक पार्ट था. आई विल गो टू द जस्ट द नेक्स्ट सेगमेंट. ये हो गया कि मतलब एक मास प्रोडक्शन सिनेरियोस. लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट साइड. एंड मैं मतलब वो सर्किट बोर्ड बार बार बनाते जा रहा हूँ. ओके, नाउ आज के जमाने में सबको पर्सनलाइज चीजें चाहिए. बेटे पर्सनलाइज टी शर्ट, पर्सनलाइज कार, एवरीथिंग इज पर्सनलाइज. सो वही चीज यहाँ पे हम लोग दिखाने वाले हैं. नाउ आई कैन प्रिंट ए कार्ड लाइक ए लेबल जो कि स्पेसिफिक टू द कस्टमर ऑर्डर और जो भी ऑर्डर आता है एंड उसको हम लोग क्वालिटी एनालाइज करेंगे. एंड जैसे कि ये एक it's a cool system, magnetic levitation and think about a conveyor system जो कि पूरे के पूरे फैक्ट्री में फैला हुआ है एंड डिफरेंट स्टेशन है, स्टेशन 1, स्टेशन 2, स्टेशन 3 एंड हर जगह पे जाके एक एक चेक होगा. सो यहाँ पे एक किट ऑलरेडी मौजूद है. मैं ऑलरेडी वो क्वालिटी इंस्पेक्शन प्रोसेस स्टार्ट कर देता हूँ जहां से ये चेक करेगा. लेट मी रिफ्रेश माय स्क्रीन ओवर हियर. एंड यहाँ पे और एक चीज देख सकते हैं कि एक IoT कानबान बोलते हैं इसको, जहाँ पे ये जो प्रिंटिंग कार्ड्स होते हैं दैट विल कम टू द स्टेशन फ्रॉम ए वेयर हाउस. सो ये अपना मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो गया एंड दैट इज कनेक्टेड टू समथिंग ए बिग वेयर हाउस जहाँ पे ये मटेरियल स्टॉक होते हैं एंड वहां से मटेरियल आते रहेगा. नाउ लेट मी गो टू माय क्वालिटी स्टेशन. यहाँ पे 3 ऑपरेशन होता है. लाइक ऑलरेडी एक कार्ड जो प्रिंट हो चुका है जहाँ पे एक पर्सनलाइज्ड टेक्स्ट, मटेरियल, ऑर्डर नंबर जो कि सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है एंड ऑलरेडी फिटेड इन हियर. सेकेंड ऑपरेशन किटिंग हो गया, मैंने डाल दिया सबको एक जगह पे. द थर्ड वन इज द क्वालिटी वन एंड लेट मी गेट स्टार्टेड ऑन दैट वन. सो यहाँ से क्या होगा कि हम लोग जितना ऑटोमेट कर रहे हैं ह्यूमन टू machine and the machine can talk to the other machines. So it's a completely automation chain that is triggered by simple clicks. मान लीजिए कि कल का फैक्ट्री में ऐसे होगा कि there will be limited workers जो कि मतलब इंटेलिजेंटली मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं सारे के सारे फैक्ट्री लेआउट को एंड वर्क जो है ऑटोमेटिकली रोबोट के द्वारा हो रहा है. एंड यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं कि पहले ये रोबोट ने एक कंपोनेंट को यहाँ से वहां लिया, वहां से वो दूसरी जगह पे चला गया, दैट इज ए क्वालिटी स्टेशन जहाँ पे और एक पिक्चर लिया जाएगा एंड उसके ऊपर एनालाइज किया जाएगा कि वो जो कार्ड रखा था इज इट ए गुड वन. सो इफ आई गो टू माय स्क्रीन यू कैन सी एक पिक्चर लिया गया जो कार्ड का एंड बेस्ड ऑन द प्रेडिक्शंस और जो मॉडल बिहाइंड द सीन हम लोग रखे हैं उसके बेसिस पे ये बता रहा है कि ये जो स्टिकर देख रहे हैं आप ये सही जगह पे है, ये स्टिकर सही है कि नहीं, all these little things that can be taken care. Okay, so you can see like all intelligent technologies when we say the machine learning AI, how it practically fits in a manufacturing scenario. And यहाँ से मैं क्या करूंगा कि as an operator मैं बोलूंगा कि हाँ सब सही लग रहा है, चलो अब इसको कंफर्मेट कर देते हैं. तो वहां से क्या होगा कि दूसरे जगह पे आ जाएगा, यहाँ पे हमारा और एक स्केल है एंड इट विल चेक इफ ऑल द कंपोनेंट्स जो कि केबल हो गया, वो किट हो गया, कार्ड हो गया, सब चीज सही से है कि नहीं. हम लोग वेट करके चेक कर सकते हैं. इट्स ए वेरी पावरफुल क्वालिटी चेक एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई कैन प्रेडिक्ट कि ये अभी ठीक है तो इसको एक पुटेवे लोकेशन में डाल दो एंड यहाँ से वो वेयरहाउस में जाएगा या फिर कस्टमर ऑर्डर को चला जाएगा. नहीं तो और एक यहाँ पे हमारा रीवर्क स्टेशन है, पूरा का पूरा रोटेट होके वहां आ जाएगा. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस थिंग्स आई जस्ट डिड, मतलब स्क्रीन पे मैंने कितना क्लिक किया, 2 ही क्लिक किया एंड वहां से सारे के सारे ऑर्केस्ट्रेशन हो रहे हैं. सो लेट मी कम बैक टू द अर्लियर पॉइंट, intelligent technologies, then the automation on the smart factory and the data part. So think about exploring each of the things and मतलब आप कहीं पे भी एक्सेल कर सकते हैं and that becomes your point of interest. क्या करना चाहिए आगे. Let me pass it back to Rakesh. Any कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो सवाल हो तो पूछ लीजिए.
Yeah, let's open it up for questions and also tell us, was this relevant? ये आपके लिए कितना relevant था information जो share किए हैं, and any other questions that you may have, we would be happy to help. You can put it on chat as well. Can you please explain IoT Kanban? Sure. Can you bring the camera up there? So, especially automotive में आपने सुना होगा just in time availability of raw materials on the shop floor at the workstation. ठीक है? In the sense जब चाहिए तभी होना चाहिए material shop floor पे worker के पास, right? So warehouse में normally सब material पड़े होते हैं, उसको warehouse से यहाँ पर स्टेशन पे लाना होता है. Normally ये मैनुअल प्रोसेस है कि भैया आज 50 कार्ड दे दो इनको. कल कोई भूल गया कि टेबल पे 50 कार्ड देना है तो 50 कार्ड नहीं है, ऑपरेटर जस्ट खाली खड़ा हुआ है वहां पर, राइट? how do you automate this process, right? So Kanban is about that you bring those materials on the shop floor, and यहाँ पर जो है दो पार्ट है, एक एप्लीकेशन है कानबान का कि you track how much of material is on this particular station, right? वो एप्लीकेशन में होता है. दूसरा चीज ट्रिगर कैसे देंगे ये मटेरियल खत्म हो गया, उसको लिए IoT सिनेरियो आ जाता है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल हमारे पास ये रैक है, कानबान रैक. कानबान रैक में ये जो I don't know if you see this section, there are sensors in here, और यहाँ पर एक RFID sensor है. So as an operator, when we feed in, right, when we feed in the new material on this rack, Kanban knows that this station has X number of cards, depending on कितना supply किया है. ठीक है. जब ऑपरेटर ये उठाता है और वो स्कैन करेगा RFID में, then system automatically knows, यहाँ से ट्रिगर जाएगा सिस्टम में, सिस्टम automatically knows कि ये वाला जो बॉक्स में जो 50 कार्ड है वो अभी इन यूज में है, राइट? जब ये सारा खत्म हो जाएगा, इसको वापस स्कैन करेंगे और नीचे वाले रैक में डाल देंगे, saying that this is an empty rack. So then the system knows कि यहाँ पर खत्म हो गया. Now if you want to pull up the Kanban board, so warehouse में there will be a Kanban board. Can you share the screen as well, please? Where for this particular station, it'll tell you exactly कि कितने सारे boxes इस स्टेशन पे है और कितने इन यूज में है. So यहाँ पर देखेंगे 4 बॉक्स खाली है और एक इन यूज में है. So warehouse will automatically know and they'll start the replenishment process. जो मटेरियल यहाँ पर स्टेशन पे लाके देगा. That is Kanban.
Yeah, conceptually I think और एक चीज मैं ऐड करूंगा. कभी भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में दो चीजें कंसीडर करना पड़ता है. यहाँ पे स्टोर करने का there is a cost, मतलब everything is associated with cost, and कभी भी एक प्रोसेस वाइज अंडर प्रोडक्शन एंड ओवर प्रोडक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए. So उस हिसाब से we just need exactly those things to track, मतलब अभी क्या है और आगे क्या चाहिए. I can't. Yeah, मतलब so all in all मतलब हम लोगों ने क्या देखा कि मतलब एक कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चर किए जो भी मास प्रोडक्शन सिनेरियो हुआ, एक कंपोनेंट पर्सनलाइज किए जो कि एक इंडिविजुअलाइजेशन बोलते हैं उसको, एंड कानबान देखे, दैट इज ए कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ जस्ट इन टाइम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस थिंग्स आर कनेक्टेड एंड सिस्टम वाइज, प्रोसेस वाइज, ऑन द सॉफ्ट फ्लोर वी आल्सो टेक, लाइक हम लोगों ने बात किया कि फैक्ट्री कैसे ऑटोमेट करते हैं, प्रोसेसेस कैसे ऑटोमेट करते हैं. ऑल्सो मतलब इट्स ऑल अबाउट पीपल, मतलब उनके बारे में भी डाटा प्रॉपर्ली मेंटेन रहता है, उनके सेफ्टी इंस्ट्रक्शंस, लाइक एक केमिकल इंडस्ट्री में मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, देन देयर शुड बी सेफ्टी हेलमेट्स, और इफ आई एम डूइंग लाइक दिस कूल थिंग्स, आई हैव दिस स्मार्ट ग्लासेस, सो स्मार्ट गैजेट्स, वो सब भी आ जाता है. सो इट्स आल्सो ए पीपल एस्पेक्ट, नॉट ओनली द प्रोसेस एंड द फैक्ट्री पार्ट. होप मतलब एक ओवरऑल ब्रीफ आइडिया मिला आपको. Any other questions in the chart?
No, right now, no other questions. So we are right on dot, Gunjan, but happy to take one or two more questions if there are one.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think there were a few questions. So it was about DevOps, whether, in which part of cloud computing technology DevOps technology is used. And there is another which was, I think, clarified whether Kanban is a process or a device. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, so these are machines are for manufacturing and quality. So we do not, in the industry 4.0 world, quality is inbuilt. What I mean by that, traditionally, जो पुराने processes के हिसाब से चलो, आप assemble करते हो, and then there is a special quality station, and then you do quality, and then you decide, oh, this product is good, this product is not good, right? यहाँ पर सारा inline होता है, in the sense as you are manufacturing, because we are using technology like machine learning, AI, IoT, right? We are doing an inline quality. As you're manufacturing, you're also doing quality together. And that's the big differentiator of Industry 4.0. Hope so. It is not either or, it's together. Hope that answers your question. What does a day look like for an ML engineer in Industry 4.0? Absolutely, Shruti. You saw some of the ML algorithms here. There are plenty of these algorithms all over the place. What we are doing here is also collecting huge amount of data from machines, from processes. And this data should tell you as an organization that something is wrong, take corrective action, or do the prognosis in future as well. So it's not just about controlling the machine, it's about looking at that data, all this combined data, and giving your C-level executives, your CEO, CFO, head of manufacturing, and telling them what next to do, right? Proactively. Traditionally, again, people lack this data and they make a decision based on hunch. Hunches don't work all the time. We are a data-powered generation, right? And this is where machine learning can be across the board what you do. Hope that answers your question. So day in life of an ML engineer is obviously working with the business, identifying where you can use this data and apply machine learning for certain concepts, for certain scenarios to answer your questions proactively.
Yeah, maybe I can add a little more things onto that. So like Rakesh said, data comes in a image format mein aata hai, text format mein aata hai. So most of the work is about the data gathering and then making sense of it. So once you understand the business process first, then get all the data, then associate with the process. So it's a continuous learning. Like there is no a single go and you get the right model and everything works. So एक step by step approach है, continuous approach है. आप data gather करते जाओ, model बेहतर करते जाओ, and relate it to the business process.
Right. So then there's a second question, sir. We have also chosen quality control using artificial intelligence as a project idea, but at college level, how should you work upon it? That's a great question, right? If you look at companies like Microsoft or Google on their cloud, you should do a little bit of a research using their ML AI tool, which is what we also use at times when customer have it, and learn those. I'm pretty sure you're probably going down that path, and then come up with a scenario. And it doesn't have to be robots and all. Just have a simple camera, take a picture, and maybe go through that image recognition thing. So for example, on Google Cloud, you have that Google
TensorFlow. We have this library TensorFlow. मतलब बहुत सारे models publicly available है, publicly data sets available है. So pick a manufacturing process that makes sense, और जो भी आपको area of interest है, जो कि it's a real business problem. Identify that, and technology wise बहुत सारे हैं. TensorFlow is one, and many are there actually. ये voice based हो सकता है, video processing हो सकता है. हम लोगों ने अभी बस pictures लिया, but मान लीजिए कि एक continuous line है and हम लोग video wise monitor कर रहे हैं and
don't
वहां
get so
से निकाल रहे हैं.
complicated. We are doing a college project, right?
Yes, yes.
The art of possible goes everywhere. The simplest thing could be take a wooden block which doesn't have a cross and one wooden block with a cross, and say with image recognition, one with the cross is bad, one with output of that algorithm is good. That could be your simplest. Any other thing that you can use, like these wires connected or what have you, that could be another one. Or look at some voice recognition as well, where you want to have an employee enter into the building premise and you want to do voice recognition based entry. So think about any practical scenario and use those algorithms. Hope that helps a few of the ideas, right? It doesn't have to be so complicated for college project. The idea is to how you can use it and apply it. Am I missing any other questions? I know we are running over time, but appreciate these questions and happy to keep answering. Which PLM software are used here? PLM software, product lifecycle manager, or did you mean PLC or PLM? PLM is SAP. product lifecycle management software is SAP's PLM. And PLC we are using by a company called Backoff, who also is providing this station that you see with the roller. Right.
Excited, sir.
Excellent. Are there any other questions, Gunjan, on this? Which algorithm is used here? We're using 2 or 3. Vivek mentioned about Google TensorFlow is one. We are using one of the Azure one as well. We are using one that this camera provider. We have a camera provider. Essentics, right? We have the PC behind this table, and it's an algorithm that runs in that PC locally on the shop floor and feeds it to us. So we have used that, and we have used SAP's software as well in one of other algorithms. So we have 6 or 7 different algorithms running. We just showed you a few of them. But the point is that we are, as SAP, we are open to using, it's like bring your own machine learning models, and we can use any one of them. Hope I covered that question. Anything we have missed from here, Palak, Gunjan?
Yeah, I think so. We may compile the questions and circle back to you because we are already over time. So we can probably wind up the session. Yeah.
Follow up कर सकते हैं. हाँ,
Yes,
follow up कर सकते हैं.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of interest, and definitely we would answer those questions and circle back to you. What would we have as a follow-on session? But I think there's a lot of interest from the students, and the session per se is really good. So thank you so much, the entire team. Thank you, really. This is I'm sure would be helpful for the students to get some insights into it. Thank you.
Yep. And good luck for upcoming exams if you have one. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays from US in Philadelphia on behalf of my team. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh, and thank you, team.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Rakesh.
Bye.
Thank you, Vivek.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Ben. And thank you, Gunjan. Thanks a lot for a wonderful session.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.